It's a beautiful morning and welcome to Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN television. My name is Miracle Odunayo.
And my name is Ikhonede Joshua Adeji. You're welcome once again to Daybreak Africa from our studio in Ondo State, Ondo City, the sunshine state of the nation, which happens to also be the most trending place in Nigeria right now. If you know, you know actually.
Wait, most trending.
Yeah.
I think I love that. How?
Yeah. All right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa, and yes, it's time to go straight to our discussions for today. Today we'll be looking at some of the trending news stories in the Nigerian polity as at today, some of the most trending, some of the most critical, especially to our national development at this particular time, as we know that a lot is actually going on within the country. And we are not the only ones that are going to be discussing today, actually. We have with us in the studio and in-house analysts. If many of you are very conversant with the Yoruba programs, you will actually know his face very, very, very well in the person of Mr. Bimbo Ogungbe. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Josh.
Yeah.
Iyanu. Iyanu, how are you today?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Don't
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Mr. Bimbo is on his usual self, sarcastic self, and the cap, yeah, the complete cap.
Yes, that's the symbol.
That's the symbol, actually. That's the symbol,
You
actually.
need to have your brand.
Yeah, your brand.
We love your brand, sir.
Thank you.
So you are saying you love the brand. Hope you won't steal the caps. And
Stealing it, I don't want.
But then let's just delve deep down into stories, actually. Today, some of the stories that are trending, if you come start with the news stories, actually, you know some of the stories that are happening. Catholic bishops asked Tinubu to declare emergency rule in Benue over killings. A group of Catholic priests under the Charismatic Bishops Conference of Nigeria, the CBCN, has condemned the killings in Benue State. And recently, 43 people were killed when gunmen attacked communities in Gwa West and Upper local government areas of the state. And then, speaking at the press conference in Abuja, Leonard Kawas, President General of CBCN, asked President Tinubu to declare emergency rule in Benue to address the killings. Kawas also denounced the alleged threat directed at Wilfred Anagbe, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, who has been an unflinching voice for the people of Benue over killings. Now, these are very trending things that are happening. We are seeing what is happening in Plateau State. We are seeing what is happening in Benue State and some of the states. But at least these two states are the hottest when it comes to the north central in Nigeria. Now, looking at what President Tinubu did with Rivers State, where they just declared the state of emergency, even before any form of violence really kick-started. Now, Benue State, Plateau State are experiencing worse cases, where killings consistently, if we were to calculate the amount of deaths in Benue State and Plateau State combined, it should have been close to 500, if not more, as at today. Now, do you think they were right by telling the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to declare a state of emergency in Benue at this particular time?
Thank you, Josh. The first thing that we should look at is history. History. The Benue clash, Hedamen clash, and the farmer dates back to more than 2 decades ago, if not up to 2.5 decades ago. So that's a kind of an history that requires a lot of thorough investigation and determination to uproot the causes. However, what are these causes? It's simple. It's either land demarcation, resources problem, the need to access the cattle roads, you know, for all the need to get their cattle grazed. These are the major problems. But these problems had been there for a very long time. And the people that were saddled with the responsibility of governance, they did not do anything about it. I use the word they did not do anything about it because I want us to remember what late General Sani Abacha said. In the days of Ife Modakeke clash, late General Sani Abacha said that if there is a crisis of a communal clash in an environment, if that crisis or that clash is not resolved in more than 48 hours, it means that the leadership of that community, they are the ones that are involved. So, if we look at that, before late General Sani Abacha would utter such statement, he must have relied on serious investigative reports that really showed that
Such
and when the Ife Modakeke clashes was to be brought down, it was treated using their leaders. They were called to order. Let's go to the one that recently happened in Osun.
Osun State, yeah.
The governor told the leaders in those communities affected that if I hereby this henceforth see any form of clash again, then I will come for you. It has stopped. If they want some of these clashes that we call eldermen, farmer clash, because of land dispute, because of this, if we want such clashes to stop, the people that are saddled with governance, they know what to do. If they have the will to take the bull by the horn, so be it. However, let's look at another angle. If these clashes, when it started, in the form of economic gain, in the form of land dispute,
yeah.
and nothing is done, now the clashes is now going towards religious crisis.
Yeah.
That is why the Catholic body is crying wolf. And the truth about it is simple. They are only telling the people that the power is in their hands, that they should do the right thing. However, the word emergency rule is not likely going to be the best decision.
Why do you think so?
The reason is this. What is going on in Benue State has been there, like I said, more than 2 decades. Before Tinubu, before Buhari,
yeah.
before
Jonathan,
before Yar'Adua,
even before
Obasanjo. Now you are calling the person that is there now to come and dip his hand into a hot fire and bring something out of it. It's not done that way. The only way that solution can come is all the leaders that are involved. If the people that are in charge of power can sit down and address the problem, then the solution will come. It is not emergency rule. Why I said it is not emergency rule is because the problem doesn't have anything to do with federal government. Take this for an instance. You cited the instance of River State.
Yeah.
River State is our pot of soup. Everybody goes there, take what you want to take at the end of every month, and you go and eat your mose every month.
Every month, yeah, because of the revenue they generate.
The only thing that is coming from Benue is our basket of food. And since the farmers cannot even go to farm again, take that, we are already in problem. Go back to year 2020 when COVID-19 came. People did not go out to farm. The problem became compounded, right?
Yeah.
Go back to more than 15 years ago when this crisis started. The people in governance did not do anything. Now the problem is now aggravating to religious crisis.
And all
that is why the Catholic body is telling government to do something. But emergency rule is not going to happen because, number one, the crisis in Benue is not that type of political crisis. It's not that type of political crisis. It's a crisis of when community leaders, some top people, even that are higher than community leaders, that are involved, and they are not ready to sheath the sword. And when all these are going on, I want to tell you something. If your house is in disarray, and I know the problem you are going through, I will only advise you. I will not come and put my head in the problem in your house when I don't have anything to gain or
From
lose.
So you feel the federal government
When
does
I
not
don't
have much
have
to gain?
anything to gain or lose, especially when such problems are internal and it's not going to affect me. Let's go to the regime of Autumn.
Yeah, Governor Autumn, yeah, most recent.
He spoke directly to the former president Muhammadu Buhari, and he alleged him concerning the farmer header clashes. And he brought in the anti-grazing law. What happened to that law? Is it still implemented?
I don't even know whether it's even effective.
No, that is the truth about
ineffective,
that
actually.
is what we are saying. It's about governance. If you are the one in government and you are the one that is saddled with such responsibility to take care of how the security of your environment, your home, your house should be in peace, and you put what will help it in place, but it's not being implemented, then who is going to come and tell you that I will do it like this for you? You want that? Why I'm saying this is because I just told you the federal government has nothing to gain or to lose
out of this whole thing.
Why I say so is because there's no oil in Benue. Take it or leave it. The only thing that concerns every one of us in Nigeria about Benue is River Benue. And they can't stop it there. So if Benue State government and Benue State people want to solve their problem, they should go and meet their leaders, the community leaders, the politicians, their representatives that are having hand
In this whole
in
round.
all these crises. Because if they did not have hand in this crisis, such crisis would not have started far more than 2 decades ago, and it's still lingering, and there is no solution, and people are dying, and economy is going worse for it. Now it's now becoming a religious crisis. Now you are asking the president to come in. To come and do what? Let's agree the president declare a state of emergency. He brings in a military person there, and the person in the military started removing the permanent started removing the commissioners, removing this, removing that. Now they deploy maybe 20,000 military soldiers into the place, and the next thing you see is they start killing cows that they see anywhere. Is that the right solution? That's not the right solution. The right solution is when they see those people, when they see those military guys, everybody will
adjust.
Why can't they sit down and solve this far lingering problem
Just once and for all.
just once amongst themselves? You have people who have been senators from that state, people who have been House representative members
from that state. Even the current secretary to the government of the federation is actually from that state particularly.
Former, is it vice, also a former governor or speaker as well.
Yeah,
from the state
from
as
the state,
well.
yeah.
So it was even a former governor.
For Haiti,
Yes,
George Akume.
yes, Akume. So you can see what we are saying. So why is such problem lingering? The problem was there before he became governor. When he left, the problem continued. Other person was there as governor. Autumn did the best he could. He was being bold and brave enough. And even unfortunately, when he said all those things he said, did former president do anything about it?
Not much.
President Buhari did not do anything. And everything was going on as it started. And up till now, it's still going on.
The same thing.
So the truth about it is that if Benue people want to live in peace, if they want to stop the killing, if they want their state to thrive, again, they all of them should go to their house and sit down.
Have a proper discussion.
Thank you, Iyanu.
Heart to heart.
Honestly speaking, that is the truth. You see, Yoruba adage says that you only know the beginning of the war. You don't know the end.
The end.
25 years ago when this crisis started,
They never knew it to escalate.
they never knew it will escalate, and it will still be on 25 years after. If they don't solve that problem, that is what may likely consume them in Benue State. It's not an evil prophecy. It's a simple thing. When you see a drunkard and grab the key of a car, said he wants to travel, and you tell him, boy, you are going to die. You are not wishing him bad. It's
only telling him
the
the
reality.
It's just reality.
The obvious.
So if Benue State want to live in peace, they should call all their senators, call all their House Rep members, both former and present, all governors, deputy governors, permanent secretaries, commissioners. Let's sit down and put our house in order. Who is the person? What did anybody want in this state? What is everybody's stake in this state that is not making some people to live their life in peace? That is the only question they should ask themselves.
Okay.
It is their state that produced a Senate president for how many times? Retired David Mark.
David Mark, yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the longest serving.
Honestly, till date.
He's the longest serving Senate president.
Problem is still in that state. The ideologies, the ability, administrative, and every form of every form of the passion in him, in which he used to lead the Senate for that number of years, it did not work in Benue State. Why? It's because some people did not want it to work. I don't know anybody, and it's not my business to know anybody. But my concern is, if Benue State want to be in peace, all of them should go and sit down in their state and discuss how their state will stop all these killings. If they don't, one day the killing will engulf them. That is the truth about it.
The funny thing is that actually their governor is even a clergyman in the actual sense, and they should even understand this issue of negotiations and all that.
So it's not the issue of state of emergency that the president should. If the president declares state of emergency, these are still the practical players that will make the state of emergency to work or not to work.
And it can't even be forever. It's just for a short
so
period of time.
why can't they sit? It's their house. If they want it to be in peace, it's up to them
to at least work out the peace.
Yes, they should work it out. Other states had such serious problem, or your state had problem of headsmen. They have their own internal way of bringing in the peace. When they saw that they are not able to take care of it, they brought the whole Southwest together and come about the Amotekuns so as to assist them. When Amotekun came, this headman issue goes down straight. So the truth about it, that they should take the bull by the horn. If they are really interested in living their life in peace, there is nothing that could have started the crisis more than 2 decades ago, and that crisis is still there. That more than 2 decades ago, if you remove it from the age of some of them, they were boys. They were boys like me. They were boys, and that problem started that time when they were boys. They become men. Now they are becoming somehow old people, and the problem is still there in their own house with their own eyes. It's a pity. Well, that's a colossal failure.
Colossal failure
on them,
actually.
On all of them. Not even removing anybody. All of them is a colossal failure on all of them. That their house in disarray for more than 2.5 decades, and the thing is still there, and they can't solve it. They went to school. They are leaders. They are politicians. They have won political posts. They have been elected as governors, as senators, as whatever. Yet they can't solve their internal problem. It's a failure on them, from top to bottom.
Actually, I think that's very factual. I was even looking at some news stories, because one of the things we're talking about in Benue was the fact that some of the people that are perpetrating the crimes in Benue State are not even from within the state; they are out of the state. But then I think I saw a news story from the Chief of Defense Staff. I think you were the one.
Yes, yes, I have the story. So, critical to our survivor, Defense Chief calls for border defensing to curb insecurity. Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, has called for the defending of Nigeria's borders to bolster national security. Speaking in Abuja recently during a security conference, Musa emphasized the need for effective management of the country's border. He noted that countries like Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have had to fence their borders with Afghanistan and Iraq, respectively, due to increased insecurity. Musa stressed the need to fully secure and assert control over the country's borders, noting that its perceived wealth and abundant natural resources are making Nigeria a target for insurgents. So are we now saying that the natural resources that God gave to us is now the reason why we are attracting insurgency, killings, and so on and so forth?
You know, why I think I also want to tune to that line is the fact that many people talked about the issue of Plateau and Benue State and said one of the reasons why we have these communal clashes in those places, one, is because of resources.
The oil?
So some greedy people seeing some of the resources in those places wants to actually benefit from it. Same with the north, same with even some of the places within the southwest and all that. And the person was saying, and I think I liked this ideology to a point that he's saying that let's lock up our borders, let's fence so that we can know.
Yes.
But from your but my own perspective here is what I'm angry about is what I remember former President Muhammad Buhari was talking about locking up borders for economic reasons and all that. Yes. Now, how did we lock the borders when the borders don't actually have fences?
That is the question. How can you lock a gate
without a proper fence? So
that is the question.
It's quite unfortunate that it is only in our country that we do magic. Yeah, we do a lot of magic. Why do I say magic? It's because everybody builds their house. You know your land boundaries, and as long as you have money, you put fence. Fencing a border of a country dates back to the Bible days. Even I don't know, but we saw it in the Bible days where many countries put fence in their borders.
Jericho was a fence.
Yes.
So the truth about it is that if people did not read it in the Bible, they had it in history that China had a fence.
Yeah, the Great Wall of China.
Yes, a Great Wall of China. So the truth about it is that building a fence around Nigeria is not as if it's something that is new or strange. The only thing is, what is the approach that we want to give to it? And I think the approach should be that we should start from the area that is most prone to insecurity. So if we start from that area, then it will help the patrol team, it will help the customs, it will help the immigration, it will help the military, it will help everybody.
You're talking about the fencing aspect?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it will help everybody. But a lot of people may be looking at it that, how can we be talking of building fence when our economy is bad? See, if you have food in your house, very small food, just 1 cup of gari in your house, and you don't have a place that you can keep it safe from the intruders, from the invaders. Take note of that word. Intruders. Invaders. They are not supposed to come into your house. But if you don't create that kind of barrier to prevent them from coming in, they will come. The reason why they will come is because you have something that interests them that they want to come and get.
Okay.
US was building fence against Mexico. They said because of drugs and some other things, and because of illegal migration. Yeah. The reason is because they know that their own country has something that the people of the Mexicans want to come in to benefit from. And they know that when they come, if they will go by the rules of law, it would have been good. There's no problem. But when some of these immigrants comes,
They
will create unnecessary, they will create different kind of a scene entirely.
Even speaking of the fencing, I'm actually thinking from another aspect now. Do we really have the fund? Hope we are not going to go into another debt if we are talking about fencing
let me
because that debt aspect, the
is
way
where my problem comes from.
Do we have the proper funding? Do we have the capital right now?
Well, before we get there, let's take GoStart actually, because I know GoStart is ready already because of the fact that they are already alerting us and all that. So after we GoStart, I think we'll look into that question first before we progress on to our story. So please enjoy GoStart. After GoStart, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa. I hope you enjoyed GoStart, and I hope you're gonna do something with what you learned, actually, what you've actually learned from GoStart. But then it's time to go back to our discussions, our news story for today. Before we went on the short break, we were discussing the postulation by the Chief of Defense Staff, where he said that Nigeria needs to fence its borders. And Miracle, you were asking a question before we went on the short break, actually.
Yes, I was actually asking the fact that do we actually have the right
funds.
funding at the moment for the fencing? Because I was thinking that we are in debt already. We are in debt, we know. So do we have the proper funding for the money to build that fence? So it's not be as if we want to go and borrow money from another country again. Then we have put us in another mess. So that's the question. What's your take on that?
Well, you look for money to do what you cannot do.
Okay.
You look for money
to do what
you cannot do. So that you give the money to somebody else to come and do it for you. When you want to build a fence in Nigeria, you need sand, stone, cement, and humans, right?
To do the tasks.
Yes.
And equipment. Is it that we don't have these things?
In fact, those areas are rocky areas majorly. Most of our borders are very rocky. So definitely the sand and the stones are there.
So the question now is, which money are we now talking about?
Maybe human resource.
To pay for
everything is there.
Okay.
Everything, we have everything. Talk of the cement we have, the sand we have, the stones, the granite, the gravels, we have them. And the people that will do the work, the machines that will do the work, we have them. We can fabricate these machines.
At least we are building in this country.
So what is it that we are not talking about? The only thing I would want us to know is that even though the civilization has somehow outgrown fencing, but it has not actually, done away with it totally. You still need it. You still need it to prevent easy access of illegal immigrants. That's number one. Then you need to support it with all these cameras, drones and all those kind of IT technologies, closed circuit TVs and the rest.
AI.
You need to support it with those ones. But the money we are talking about, I want you to know that, sincerely speaking, Nigeria is not a poor country. My father told me I was born into wealth. That is why my name is Abimbola. And the type of car my father was using then was almost similar to the top politician's car. He told me Nigeria is not in the category of a poor country. And I don't see anything different from that statement as I was growing up.
Even up till now?
Even up till now. Look everywhere around you. Anywhere, any state, any place, any corner in this country, there is nothing that shows that we are a poor country. No, we are not. The only thing we are poor about is implementation of policies. That's the only thing that we are poor about. Intelligence, we are not poor. Ideology, we are not poor. Tricks, schemes, we are not poor. Anything, good, bad, fair, ugly, we are not poor.
Yeah, we have everything.
I always say everything. You can't beat Nigeria in any area. Bring it, we are there. This country, our politicians, they are the most intelligent set of human politicians that is in this world. I'm not saying Nigeria. In this world. When we do things from a political environment and circle, the whole world looks and they fold their hands. Because we are genius. We do it and they wonder how are these people doing? Then because they are ashamed, they will not use the kind of language that how are Nigerians behaving like this? It's not that we are behaving like this. Okay. We beat them to everything.
We take that as a compliment.
Honestly, it is. Honestly, it is.
The compliment has the positive part.
And the negative.
Is very negative.
I did not deny it. Both. Even the middle of it, everything is there. If the CDS is calling for building of fence, it's a good thing. We need it. Is it the money? There is money. There is money. I was born when Nigeria got oil. And our then head of state said, our problem is not money. But how to spend it. Up to today, the problem is not money. It's how to spend it. It's not the money. It is till now that we are here seated talking. Our problem is not money. It is how to spend it. But maybe we should add another good English, how to spend it judiciously. Because that problem, that person that said so, did not solve that problem. He only said our problem is how to spend it. He did not say how to spend it judiciously. Or how to spend it well.
So that means how can be any way, whether the positive or the negative.
Let's come to the recent time. In the days of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo as the president, as worst as our economy looks like in the days of Abacha, Abdulsalami Abubakar and Obasanjo, we negotiated the payment of debt.
That was the biggest trickery I've ever seen in my entire life.
Sincerely yours.
The biggest trickery.
We negotiated our debt, we paid
Why
it.
can't we do it now? Why?
That's why I'm saying that we don't have problem of money.
Okay.
Let's come to the days of President Jonathan. The Minister for Finance, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, she said that we should save for the rainy days. That was the town cry of Madam that time. Save for the rainy days. Save for the rainy days. Unfortunately, the governor said, "Rara, nothing."
One of the governors, actually, the chairman of the governors forum of that generation, was last week insulting the current president and claiming that. But in that generation, it was there. It was the major culprit.
We soon get to their turn. They are a group of Alagabagibi. That is their cronies. That's their name. They are hypocrites. Yes, they are. Many of them. No matter how educated, no matter how exposed, how rich, how enlightened, how elevated, there are many of them that are hypocrites. But before we go to their side, Madam Okonjo-Iweala was giving us that very good advice that we should save for rainy days. But some governors said no, let them share the money. And President Jonathan, sorry to say it, caved into that idea. They shared the money, they sent it to the states, expecting that states will use it to develop their governors will use it to develop their states. Unfortunately, that was not what was done. And that money was it grew wings and it flew away, just like the Bible says. Although EFCC tracked how it flew to some people's account, ICPC tracked how it flew into the account of some housemaid of some politician that are carrying billions
of naira.
And thank God EFCC is still tracking some of this money as it flew into the pocket of some Yahoo boys carrying billions for politicians in bitcoins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even the person that dropped that policy.
Don't tell me Nigeria has problem of money. This man, the current president came in and he told us we should face our problem headlong. No more subsidy. Not everybody eats and vomit what they have eaten. Yes, that is the meaning of no more subsidy. If people did not understand, you have eaten it, you must vomit it. And we are vomiting it now. Tell me, is cars not moving on the road? The only difference is that you won't be able to take your car and go and do birthday of a year old in Abuja from Ondo. You can't do that now.
It used to be
but that time,
then.
all of us will carry our cars from Ondo and go and do the birthday of a 1-year-old child in Akwa Ibom. And we buy fuel inside it and drive it back.
But now we dare not.
We dare not.
We are now vomiting. That is what this government is telling us. But people are filled with hatred. Permit me to use that right word.
Hatred.
Hatred. Yoruba call it
Irunu. Yeah.
That's the bad kind of hatred. The ordinary one is what is called the Ikhonede.
Yeah.
But this one we are carrying, all of us, is the thing is turning our system. It's hatred.
But then I was seeing a story actually to this effect where the minister Mohammed Idris was saying that Tinubu has achieved more in 2 years than past government. I don't know how many might not agree to this statement. Even me, I don't know whether to agree or not to agree. But then let's just see. Mohammed Idris, the Minister of Information and National Rotation, says the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration has outperformed all its predecessors in 2 years. Idris spoke recently at the inaugural National Dialogue on Citizen Engagement and National Security organized by the Voice of Nigeria in Abuja. And he said this, he said, no preceding government has ever achieved what the Tinubu administration has achieved in 2 years. First, the courage to vanquish the monster of oil subsidy and the forex racket, and then massive road infrastructure, an unprecedented student loan scheme, and the credit score. Indeed, policies that are re-stimulating confidence in our young population. And I don't know, how much do you agree with this statement? Because if we are to look at it, a strong cross-section of the country disagrees, and that cross-section is kind of agreeing. And now, Tinubu is 2 years in office now. At least by May 29,
but I actually feel like the highest percentage actually disagree with that.
We can't. Should we agree with that the highest percentage? Because sometimes I feel social media has voice, the streets has voice, but I think the hunger spreads everywhere actually. But what's your take on this?
One truth is that as a broadcaster, you don't agree with any statement except you do your findings.
Your findings, yeah.
Okay.
Number two, not just a broadcaster that carries out investigation, but analyze results. So that makes you an analyst. The first thing is this: what is the concentration of this government? That is where we will start from. I am not going to say this government has achieved anything, but I will tell you something that this government did not look at, even in what they call achievement. They themselves, they did not look at it. Have you seen the recent reports, annual financial reports from all the banks?
Yeah, I saw that, to pay that exercise.
What is their profit margin? Is it in billions or trillions?
It's some got to trillions, which was the shocking.
I like what you said.
Shocking part of it.
Wonderful.
And it's not just this year. It's been consistent for 3 years.
Good. What brought that into what led to such kind of a result?
I think it's the monetary policies.
Fine, monetary policy. But the government is not doing well in making those banks to retain those money here. Look, take for instance, some banks, I won't mention bank name, some banks got so much money, they went to Kenya to go and buy the biggest bank in Kenya.
I know them.
Some banks has made enough money that they can go to Gambia and go and buy the banks there, while our own economy here is agriculture, industry, while they are dying. What is going to cost government by telling those banks to divest that their margin, part of that margin, into agriculture? Or what is it that makes the government not to enforce it on the banks to go back into their traditional way of doing business when they were the owners of farms and industries? I will remind you, National Bank, count the number of companies under National Bank. There are about 18
yeah.
that time. That is the strength of that bank. And look at those 18 conglomerates, how they were feeding the whole people working there, and the economy is progressing. There is estate, there is industry, there is farming, there is many things, and on and on. And as they were doing that, they were still borrowing money to other companies for them to survive. Can you imagine? Here you can see. But this government is not looking into that direction.
Aspect,
They opened their eyes wide.
And those banks went about.
And those banks took their money that they made here.
Yeah, from within.
Went to Kenya, Gambia, to go and buy the banks there. It's not fair on us. Those money they took to that place, they made it from our head here. Some did not even, some even made dubious means. They made those profits, they did business in this country, and they made those money because they did the business here. And they made those profits. Why will our government allow them to take that money
out of the country?
Do you want to tell me that that bank that went to Kenya to go and buy the Bank of Kenya, do you want to tell me that they did not use the money here to go and do that?
And the sad thing is that I was even thinking they will even use some of their profits to increase the salaries of some of their workers, or improve their services, because many of those banks were having, especially this bank you talked about, they have very poor service. Let's top complaints actually.
You see now, let's tell the government what they did not do. The government did not make those banks to use that money and invest it in the area that would have benefit us in this country. Agriculture, industry. And that is what Mr. Minister for Information should take from us, that we are saying it is not for us
to judge, to say
they did well, they did not do well. But we can bring both ends, do well and did not do well. We can bring it to meet. Banks in Nigeria have declared trillions of profit after tax. Yes. Unfortunately, our government fold hands, put their hands on their chin, look at them. They took that money out of Nigeria to go and buy the biggest bank in Kenya. What are we going to profit from that? That is one area that they did not do well.
Okay.
I can point to that as an economy that is our own, and it has did business in our country and made so much money,
profit.
So much money. We are not against the way they made the money. Thank God they made the money, right?
Yeah.
But they should have invested it inside this country,
not outside.
Not outside this country. So our government should look into that. I am not going to say they did well, they did not do well, because there will always be two sides of every coin.
Sure,
yes.
Sure.
So if I said they did well, somebody whose business collapsed will tell me,
and some people
I don't know what I'm saying.
That are actually benefiting.
And when other people that benefited are secretly smiling and laughing at the people that are counting their woes, it is not for us in the broadcasting house to be looking at. What we should look at is what the government should concentrate on. If this sector have done well, don't allow them to take the gains to another country.
They should make
Let
sure
them
that use
put
that
it
gain within
into
the
use
country.
here. That is what should be the concern of our government. So, Mr. Minister for Information, we are not saying what you said is wrong, but tell whosoever wants to listen, the money the banks made in Nigeria, government did not do well by allowing them to take that money out of this country to go and invest it in other banks outside Nigeria. That is our take.
But then, if you are to talk about Tinubu's administration, if we talk about the place of security to a very large extent, do you think that is part of even the thing that, because when he was mentioning all those things, he dare not mention security. He dare not mention security.
What's your own aspect?
What's your take on the security aspect? Did they really do well? Have we done well? Even though our budget, the top of our budget at all times is security. But
Mr. President mentioned security in his speech. I translated it to Yoruba for the Yoruba channel.
Okay.
And I read it using his picture, and I read it in Yoruba. What he said is that he is quite aware of the security challenges, and that in spite of all those challenges, yet our security men, the military and other security, have achieved some successes. He mentioned the area where our road is now, they have been able to, got some of the people that were kidnapped and were, and he mentioned the area where the northwest rather, where the people were seriously engaged in all this mining, illegal mining and all the things like that. How they have changed the lots of ideology that were going on, that we now have mining industry rather than just taking our mineral resources out of the country. He mentioned things like that. However, he acknowledged that we have serious challenges on our hands concerning security. But the truth about it is this: if somebody that came 10 years ago said he's going to tackle Boko Haram, which was the only known security threat, he said he will tackle it in 6 months. And that very government spent money to collect Chibok girls back. It's on record. I think it's $23 million from Abacha's loot that was brought back. See, there is one thing you cannot cheat people about: history. You can't cheat anybody about history.
And this, we were out there.
Everybody is in this.
We witnessed
country.
it.
We witnessed it. The Dapchi girls were brought back. We did not hear anything. The only thing we knew was that all the roadblocks were cleared for them to come back. Is it at toll free? The answer is no. Under that same government, the same government that promised us that they will fight Boko Haram and they will overcome Boko Haram, that same government could not overcome Boko Haram in 8 solid years, that we will find 16 6 months inside it. We'll find 16 6 months inside 8 years. Now you are telling somebody now come 2 years after
to resolve all the problems.
And that problem was not limited at that one before that 8 years finished. The problem had gotten many grandchildren, granddaughter problem. Kidnapping has become serious. You see, all those things, they are not something that you just come in, you go and pick it as if there is one stone in one place. Just go and pick it and say you want to remove it. No, it's not like that. It's not. Look at the Benue crisis that we told you started far back 25 years ago. And you now expect somebody to come and remove it just like that? No. There is need for us to be sincere with ourselves. You see, anybody who wants to say what is right should be sincere to himself first. before you come and talk to others. Yes, other people may not accept what you are saying, but be sincere to yourself what you are saying. We are not talking politics here. We are analyzing the situation as the news brought them. So therefore, the real truth about it is, when it comes to security in Nigeria, it's not a 2-year deal. Take it from me. Let's come to Ondo State. In the days of the governor before late Akeredolu, Mimiko, we don't have this type of security threat. And when Akeredolu came, this security threat started coming in into Ondo State. And the man was trying to talk to the president, do something. Former President Buhari, he did not do anything. And the man had to,
take laws into his hands.
Had to take decisions to protect his people. And since he cannot do alone, he went to meet his brothers and sister states. That look, we cannot just allow our people to be killed just like goats and fowl. Then he came up with Amotekun. And as soon as he came up with Amotekun, that thing went down straight. So the truth about it that even though it went down straight that time, even in Ondo State, what level are we now? It's all about, if you really want to address a problem, you have to take the bull by the horn. That is how to do it. It's not patronizing politics or talking as if, well, I will do the one I can do. After all, I am not the one that put myself here. They voted me in. I was actually sitting down in my own corner, and they came and they said I should come.
Their usual stories.
Now that I come, now they voted me. I'm not going to kill myself. And the person will be using toothpick to pick something in his mouth, and he will be saying, after all, there is nothing he can do. Why do you come to the seat? Why do you take the duty? Why do you become the person in charge? Why did you allow yourself to be sworn in? Recently, the news was flying around that the Ondo State governor is inaugurating roads in his 100 days. Those kind of statements, they're supposed to be penalized. Ondo State governor is not in office just 100 days. Ondo State governor has been in office since December 25 or so, or 27.
2023.
2023. And he's talking that he's inaugurating road in his 100 days in office. We are all here.
We have been there.
We have been here. Before you became governor, you met us. We are all here in Ondo State. You too. We are all here, sir. And you're now telling us that you are 100 days in office. What kind of statement is that one?
You have spent over.
You can imagine somebody who has spent very close to almost 400, 500 days in office is telling us that
in 100 days,
the person that issued that kind of a statement himself, is he even sincere to himself?
He just can't.
That is why we are saying that sometimes this English we are using is even deceptive.
Extremely deceptive.
Honestly speaking. So I don't know.
No, it's well. We'll get it right. We actually get it right, because actually our time is fast spent. And I'd love to take one more story, but then we can't go as far as that again. But thanks so much, Mr. Bimbo, for being a part of this. We really appreciate you. I really appreciate you for bringing a lot of those problems to actual perspectives. Actually, it's one of those things that is really, really needed, actually. But then we'll keep bringing updates about how things progress, especially in the polity in Nigeria as well. But then it's time to take sports. After sports, we go back straight to just give our conclusions and say our goodbyes on Daybreak Africa. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa, and yes, I hope you're enjoying sport. But then it's time to say our goodbyes on Daybreak Africa today. Lengthy discussions, a whole lot of things at the same time, and I think Bimbo was on point on many things. Though I'm not saying he was supporting Tinubu, but I think he was just being sincere to a very large extent, because I think I'm seeing from his perspective when he said, if you want to talk about issues or address issues, be sincere with yourself, because the problems in this country did not just start now. Many of these problems, especially the issue of Benue, Plateau State, many of these issues have been even before we became completely democratic and all that. And those issues have been escalating gradually. Each of their factors are not even looking at those issues. But when they want to point fingers, rather than point fingers to themselves, everybody's pointing fingers to the president. Like this issue of WAEC, I don't even know I didn't bring that story. When they were talking about students doing WAEC in a school at night, I asked the question because everybody was calling for the head of the federal government. I said WAEC was not happening in that location only. WAEC exams were happening in multiple locations.
So why
and they did not have the same story. Why did they have the story in that location? So the problem is not the government. Who are those in charge of that location that are not making things
I think it was one of our guests that was talking about that we shouldn't blame the people in power most times, that we should blame the people that are in charge, because they cannot live where they are and start going to some places. They have to put people in charge
of those places.
What about the people that are in care of those things? How are they doing it? That is the question. Are they doing it properly? And
they are not even. I won't lie. Though the only place I can blame federal government for is, like he said,
not supervising.
Not even supervising. Being harsh. You see, me, I feel there should be a point in you as a person, as a leader, where you can be harsh. I'm saying this thing because of the fact that I've been opportune to be in positions of leadership, both in the spiritual aspect and in the political aspects. Because I was a student union leader in school. I was president at a particular. I was, in fact, a sport director, a public relations officer. Then I became president at the end of the day. So I know how these things work. There are days where you are. This even the student stuff that we are nice towards each other. We know each other. We are classmates. Yes. But there are days when I know there are tasks that you are supposed to do. Bro, we are friends, yes, but hey, we need to call you out when things are really happening. Like, we put this task in your hand. How is it that you didn't do it right? You see, and this country, all of us are pretenders. Like, a lot of people are pretenders. Not all of us actually. A lot of people are pretenders. That's why imagine someone that wasn't even accountable as a student union leader was calling out the president recently, and I looked at the guy like, coming from you, like you, when you were there, what did you do? We know what you did. We know how you operated, and at the end of the day, we know tax that we put on your hands that you didn't do fine. So why are you now trying to castigate someone in power? Because I'm very sure that, and those people are the ones that clamor that the youth should be in the power. But the truth is, you look at many of these guys, the Jordan Gomez and co, the David Marks that are in charge of Benue, that have been big policies. They didn't do well in reducing the whole conflict while they were in power. Now they are off power now. They can talk.
But are we now saying that youth should not be in position?
I don't think youth shouldn't be in position. We are told
that we are the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We are in the tomorrow now. We are not giving charge.
You are not yet in the tomorrow. Youths are the leaders of tomorrow. You are not yet in the tomorrow.
When we are now 60?
The truth is, when they said you are a leader for tomorrow, they did not actually specify the age.
Oh, so you can be leaders when you are 80?
In tomorrow, you could be 50, you could be 60. Really? Because for someone like me, this is my honest truth. I can't use my hand to vote someone below 45 to be maybe a governor of the state or the president of the country. No vex.
Why?
Because there is one thing that they call emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. 80% of Nigerian youths right now don't have it.
We know that they are more experienced.
When it comes to wisdom, I've not seen much youth in this country that has it, and I've watched youths that have ruled around the world, both historically and recently. I will not lie to you, I'm not impressed. So definitely for now, I don't know, maybe in the future generations, if they can adopt a bit of wisdom from the beginning, great. But for now, no, I don't think I want to, go for that. But then till we meet tomorrow on Daybreak Africa actually, and we continue on our discussions. I think tomorrow is going to be very exciting because it's the entertainment day.
Yes, entertainment, discuss.
So yeah, just stay with us on Daybreak Africa. My name will still remain Ikhonede Joshua Odunayo.
And my name will still remain Miracle Odunayo.
Bye guys.